What's up, everybody? It's Justin again. Today I have a special video for you. Usually I don't make stuff like this, but I'm heavily considering starting doing this in the near future, actually doing live streams and judging in real time. I've been wanting to do this for a while, not only because sometimes, like in this video, you're going to see some questionable calls that need to be called out, no pun intended. And then I also have always just wanted to be a Formula Drift judge. People say it's the worst job in the world. Personally, I think it's easy because I know what I'm looking for. So today we're going to take some of those skills and we're going to apply them to Drift Masters. This is the most recent round, number 4 in Ireland at Modelo. So this isn't a half hour long. We're going to real quickly go over the rules, what's needed by the lead driver, the chase driver. I'll state my case of what I think is wrong in the following runs and let you be the judge. So moving on, lead drivers need to hit all clipping zones, maintain consistent angle, drive so the chase driver can follow. Pretty simple, right? The chase driver needs to maintain close proximity as long as possible, initiate no later than the lead driver, match or better the amount of angle, mimic transitions in line of the lead driver. At this point, I'm pretty sure we're all on the same page. We know what we're looking for. If you're here watching this video, you are a fan of drifting. And just for further clarification, here's David.
Exactly that you are going to be looking for this weekend to separate the winners from the losers in top 32.
We believe that the first corner will be determining point of all battles, both for the lead, and also for the chase. Because for the lead, you're having very high speed initiation, and then you're going over the crest and down into the compression, which is very demanding on all the cars. It's very not easy to go through that section. And for the chase, it is very hard to be in the pocket from the beginning, and we are really looking forward to see those drivers immediately from the initiation on the door of the leader.
Thank you very much, David. So there you go. And you know, look, like we say, we don't have to judge it, luckily enough. It is a tough track. We spoke about it yesterday quite a bit in qualifying. The initiation, completely blind. When they come up that hill, they fire that car in. And we're going to take a look at that track right now. You can see that dotted white line separating both sides of the track. The lead car not being able to cross that white line on initiation. So here we go. They're off the start line, through the gears. Third, second, third, fourth, big clutch kick, and then flick the car to angle to that first outside zone. Keep the front wheels in that dotted line, then pick up the centre of that inside zone. Then it's right to the edge of the circuit for outside zone 3, back across the circuit with a small decel into this very long outside zone 4 without putting wheels into the gravel. Then it's a nice transition across the circuit and then back up onto the first wall. But then you get into this long outside zone before you go right to the edge of the circuit once again, pick up the final outside zone and across the line.
Okay, we're definitely all on the same page now. We know exactly what the judges are looking for, where the first decel zone is going to be. They have highlighted that most battles are probably going to be won or lost in the first turn. Keeping all of this in mind is extremely important for context to this video, although I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one that has seen the discrepancy in today's judging. The first battle we're going over is Pisculti versus Korpolinski. This is important because I want you to see Korpolinski's lead run and how he handles the first turn and the outside zone. This will also give better clarification on the first decel zone.
Loves it here in Modelo Park. What can he do right now? He's not got an easy battle in top 32. Nobody has. As they come down the hill through the gears, onto the back bumper goes Pisculti. As Korpolinski puts that car to angle, looks for the edge of the circuit. Very nice lead line so far from Pavel Korpolinski as he puts it into the outside zone, and that opens the door for Kevin Pisculti. Pisculti washes a little bit there, trying to get down the inside, and it pays off as he almost takes the front end off that BMW. Pisculti puts himself right where he needs to be, a little squeezed on the throttle, trying to get on that front wheel, and he makes it.
All right, take note of a few things here. On Korpolinski's entry, watch his rear tire. It's nice, smooth, constant rotation all the way through here. And his style usually has him angling up about right here, going through the clipping point before switching back, going through the decel into outer zone 2 or 3, whatever it is. This is important because the battle he does with Jack has the exact same attributes and style, but notice he does it a little too much.
Going to find out here as Shanahan, look, almost jumps that start line. He can do that. It is legal for him to do as he comes through now, through the gears, down they come. Look at this, Shanahan onto the back bumper already. A big flick from Pavel Korpelinski. Shanahan opens up the angle, trying to gain some ground back, but he's gone too hard. Takes the whole front end off of the GT86. As Shanahan now, can he manage to get around as Korpelinski balances that S14 right where it needs to be? Shanahan trying to get himself back into the fight as Korpelinski takes it to the wall. Shanahan on the door, across the line.
All right, so right here on Korpelinski's entry, watch the rear tire. I'm going to make a good argument here. He pushes the clutch in right here. If you go back and watch this a few times over, you'll see the wheel speed differentiate in the back of that car. He's compressing the clutch. It wasn't an e-brake pull or anything like that. If you know anything about how these cars react, as soon as you push that clutch in, you're slowing down. This car has got immense side grip, and you can see right there, it is scrubbing speed. Now, let's talk about where that decel zone is. It's a few more feet down the track. He is officially decelling in a zone he should not be slowing down in. To prove the point that you should not be slowing down in this portion of the track, I've compiled some more clips.
Marshall ready to go, he creeps off the line goes green. As we come through the gears, you can see Korpelinski not letting Piscotty get away as he flicks it to angle. Nice line so far from both drivers, and now he starts to open the throttle. Drive away, but there's contact. Korpelinski hits the back end of Kevin Piscotty's BMW.
On first glance, it almost looked like Piscotty stalled up just a touch, and Pavel expecting him to come through. And I know the judges, that's the big thing they're going to highlight in this is, did the contact happen before that straightening or after? So let's take a look back here.
What was it? What was it that we were talking about that was wrong?
Yeah, we are saying that the deceleration every time needs to happen after the transition. And it was clearly visible that Kevin was already handbraking through the transition, so he was slowing down in place where he should not. And it is very hard to anticipate as a chaser that something like that will happen. So we blamed for that fault Kevin Piscotty.
Oh, well, there you go.
Okay.
Granted, Piscotty slowed down throughout the transition. We have established 100% without a shadow of a doubt that there's supposed to be zero deceleration before the transition. The car should not slow down until after the transition.
Good. Here we go. Decisions in from our judges. Slide them left for Korpelinski, right for Shanahan. It's one vote for Korpelinski. It's for Korpelinski getting the win and advancing through. And Shanahan shakes his head. Korpelinski puts his hands on his cheeks and says, well, I'm not quite sure how that happened, but hey, here we are. Judges, you were saying to me in the headset that it was Jack Shanahan at fault for the incident there.
Yeah, we saw that Pavel was a little bit over-angling at outer zone 3. That means like small slowing because of the angle. However, we still believe that the chaser should be able to adjust his run slightly and not hit the leader in the way how it happened. Because when they turned around, there was a very similar mistake on the other side too.
Too hard maybe as he comes through the gears down there over the hill as he flicks that car nice and early to angle, already lighting the tyres on the back of that GT86. Gets himself set up nicely now.
I honestly can't believe David said that when it turned around that Jack did the exact same thing. There's clear evidence that he didn't. It wasn't the best entry. He was over on the inner clip, but still, he did not over-angle it outside zone 3. I totally felt at this point it could go one more time. There's no way that Korpelinski could take this because the error he made was so blatant. Apparently, I was wrong. But personally, I see the discrepancy. What about you? Alright, this next one burns my ass quite badly. Usually I don't make my opinions this well known, but this was an absolute bullshit call. I'm speaking of the final battle between Wissick and Shanahan. Now, before you start bitching and saying, oh, Shanahan's a crybaby, you really need to pay attention to this footage. Once everything is put into proper context, if you were in his position, you would be furious as well. I don't blame him one bit.
The start line and through the gears as Shanahan jumps straight onto the back bumper. He fires it alongside him. They go angle for angle, matched mirror image as they transition to outside zone 4. Wycheck stalls up, can't get deep into that zone. As Shanahan follows him through, as Shanahan pops through the smoke, Wycheck goes for the wall, Shanahan goes for the door. They both put back bumper to back bumper on the wall and across the line.
Both drivers fighting those nerves and fighting everything in them to not mess up and having to push at full pace throughout this entire thing. Incredible. Right from initiation, right from the lights going out, these drivers just completely at it. You can see here Connor Shanahan even just leading up Piotr Vincek, trying to get him to make that first move. And there's Piotr Vincek getting it out there, riding that line perfectly, getting really deep to that first inside clip. Look at the angle, the snap out, and how stable he is coming through that compression zone, and the suspension being put to full use as he transitions back out. And you can see through the window of Connor Shanahan hunting down the Polish driver of Piotr Vincek as they come through this outside zone. Look at Connor Shanahan trying to punch through the door of Piotr Vincek, who's adding even more angle and more speed, and these drivers putting everything on the line through every transition. And then right here, as we come to this last big section, Connor needs to reel in the multi-time champion that is Piotr Vincek. They come through the line. This is setting up for what is going to be an incredible run to come after it, but taking this all in, it is going to be nuts what both drivers are going to need to do to take home the win here.
25 as they hammer through the gears. Vycek is focused, he knows what he needs to do, and he mirrors the angle, and he's closer than Shanahan on initiation, but Shanahan's cleaner than Vycek. Shanahan gets into the outside zone, Vycek follows him. Oh, he tags the door, almost puts them both into a spin. They transition through the smoke as both cars go wheel to wheel. The bumper comes off, and Vycek's car as he pushes Shanahan across the line.
A battle for the ages right here in Ireland. Both drivers putting absolutely everything on the line for that. That was incredible. Their first runs were not perfect, so they come back and push even harder. This is absolutely wild. Look at Connor Shanahan and the commitment coming through there, but Piotr Vincek completely painted to the side of that 86. Look at this, mirroring him all the way through, on the wheel of him through the entire thing, transitioning at the perfect time, in the perfect place with the perfect angle is Piotr Vincek, while Connor Shanahan out front, driving to the edge of the track in every single portion. But Piotr Vincek right there, rubbing the wheel, trying to take the paint off the 86 as they come through, and Connor Shanahan not blinking, not phased through any of it. Just a normal day here at Mondello for him as they come through one of our last outside zones. Piotr Vincek punches through the smoke, wheel on wheel as we come through. This is epic. Wow.
Unbelievable. Two incredible lead runs, two incredible chase runs, door to door, wheel to wheel.
All you have to do is look back over everything I just provided and you'll see Connor had him all the way. There was absolutely no reason for this one more time. They don't really address any of Peter's mistakes. They just say it's an awesome battle and they want to see it one more time.
You can't do this to us.
I need to do that because that battle was really awesome. We really like that. We saw some mistakes of one driver in the lead. We saw some mistakes, one driver on the chase. But however, that battle, that what the final. We really want to see this one more time.
Well, there we go.
All right, now that they've made a bullshit call and have gotten away with it, we now get to watch the unnecessary one more time battle.
But this young man right here will try and stop him as he slots that Red Bull Toyota GT86 into gear and comes off the line. This is it for the final time this weekend. The battle begins as Vycek fires in. Shanahan goes closer than he did before. Now starts to look for the side of that Toyota Supra as he transitions bumper to bumper. They both get into outside zone 4. No mistakes this time for either guy as they fire through. Shanahan looks for the door. He creeps up the inside as the tail lights disappear from the back of that Supra. Shanahan goes for the door across the line.
Just another monumental run from both of these drivers. Piotr Vincek.
And right here's the moment where everything goes wrong. Connor says Peter shallowed up and slowed down too much. Peter says everything was completely normal. Personally, I could see Connor's side of it. It was a little shallow coming across the line. And keep in mind, this was across the line. If it was a shared fault situation, I think they could have let him put a tire on the car and actually finish this out to have a good show. But instead, this is what we got. I know that's wishful thinking, but this was damage from the other vehicle or from the racetrack, not necessarily from messing up in the battle. Just a quick note before moving on to the next clip. If anybody remembers Utah of last year, maybe the year before in Formula Drift, there was an inner clip cone that kept getting, actually it was the year before last because they changed the outer zone last year. It kept getting chucked up into people's intercoolers, radiators, going into the belts of their engine and causing damage. They deemed this as damage from the track, not from the battle, and I'm pretty sure they reran those battles. This moment right here is where Connor approaches one of the track workers, explaining that he had absolutely no room coming over the finish line because of Peter's lack in angle. I believe this is a good time to mention they should also implement some kind of change to the rules on wheels with concave spokes. There needs to be a limitation to how far the spokes can poke out, as we're going to see a lot more wheel-on-wheel contact with action this close. Now, I'm currently talking over the lead judge, David, and he's simply explaining that there was no lack of angle or a shallowing of angle, and the speed wasn't dropped until after the finish line. I still think he was quite shallow over the line, but it's more of a shared fault situation, if anything, from my point of view. This is where Connor confronts Peter about the situation. He explains himself, stating, if you actually listen to the live stream, you can kind of get a little gist of their conversation. But he's going on about leaving no room over the finish line, and Peter just pretty much dismisses it right off the bat, which I guess makes sense. The judges did go in Peter's favor, but it looked like Peter was trying to run away from him over the finish line. Therefore, I don't know, man. I would go back to shared fault. Connor was trying to get too much. Peter was trying to run away too much, and it led to a situation where the tire was ripped off the wheel. I am a fan of the Shanahans, don't get me wrong, but I'm a bigger fan of drifting, and that's really why I made this video today. I'm sad for their results, but at the end of the day, I feel like there was 2 bullshit calls, and somebody needs to mention something. There should be some kind of accountability. I mean, especially with the Jack Shanahan battle, it was ridiculous. And Connor definitely beat Peter on the first battle here. I couldn't see any justification other than it was awesome and we want to see it again. Come on, dudes, for real.
Put back bumper to back bumper on the wall and across the line.
Both drivers.
It doesn't look to me like there was.
Was it at
It
this
has to
very
be.
end?
It has to have been there over the finish line.